I'm Michael Jacobson. I'm Associate Professor in the School of Forest Resources. I teach forest economics, agroforestry, and international forestry. I also do a lot of extension, which is working with the forestry clientele in the state of Pennsylvania on forest economics and policy issues. And I also have an interest in research and extension in primarily Africa. I was originally born in South Africa, and my parents moved to the US, Connecticut, when I was 15. So I finished high school here, and ever since I've been here, and I've always had an interest in working internationally. And so after my undergrad degree, I went to the Peace Corps, and I ended up in Africa and doing agroforestry work with a women's cooperative nursery in Lesotho. And then I followed that up with some degrees and working at the World Bank, and now I've ended up here. As you know, in Africa, there's a lot of traditional healers, and they use a lot of medicines from the forest. And it's becoming less used because of Western medicine, but there's still, because of the rural nature of development, where they haven't been able to reach Western science and medicine, the traditional healers still have a big role to play. So in one of our case studies that we look at in South Africa and Mozambique, looking at natural resource enterprises, natural products, how can communities take these kind of products and lift them out of poverty perhaps. One example was a traditional healer who was quite innovative, and he had done some work in the Durban area, and he got quite well recognized by a lot of people for his understanding of medicinal plants, and he went beyond the traditional, Zulu markets, and he was picked up, and he met an owner of a spa, a hotel in the Durban area, and they formed a partnership where this guy Elliot would actually set up his business at the spa and treat the customers who came to the hotel. And provide products to them. And so that grew, and he had the customers who were at the hotel getting treatment with some of these traditional products, and that even expanded to where he started marketing his own product line. And then obviously he had to ramp up production, so he started developing nurseries and those kinds of activities, bringing in some labor. So he built up his own clientele. Now this was more of an individual kind of activity more than a community, but it shows you how taking indigenous knowledge that a traditional healer has can expand it beyond the village use and into the mainstream market, and perhaps go further than that. The baobab tree is one of the most iconic examples of African landscapes. It's this tree that looks like, it's a huge tree. Some people call it the upside down tree because the trees look like roots in many cases. But it's found throughout the savanna woodlands of Western and Southern and Eastern Africa. And it provides multiple uses. It's one of these trees that not as much for wood because it's really huge, but it is the branches are used for firewood. It's a very old tree. It lives for ages, but its primary significance in the past has been as a cultural part of communities where they've used it for initiations, births, many activities. It's an important place to do ceremonies like that, so it has that spiritual aspect to it. What we've been interested in is its uses, because baobab has a huge fruit, and within that fruit there's seeds that could be used for oil or grain or food, but also the pulp in the tree fruit has potential as fruit juice, making wine and other products. The project that we're working on right now is a place where this woman entrepreneur is working with the community to collect the baobab seed to make the oil. And she is collecting the baobab seed from local people on their own time, comes every week with a truck, picks up the seed, pays the workers, and then takes the seed to a processing area in a region, processes it into the oil, and exports it to Europe, which it's used for perfume and things like that. So it's specialty oil. So she is creating a market by also employing local people, providing them with additional income from this baobab seed. It's a pretty sustainable enterprise, and she's creating these niche markets that perhaps can expand as people do more work on finding uses for those oils.